Hi, and welcome to World Chicago's Citizen Diplomacy Show. My name is Maria Krasinski. I'm the Vice President of World Chicago, and I am delighted today to be joined by some of our international visitors who we'll introduce in just a moment. But to tell you a little bit about World Chicago, we are a nonprofit organization here in Chicago that is the local coordinator for State Department-sponsored exchange programs, bringing emerging leaders and entrepreneurs from all over the world to Chicago for short-term exchanges. And our motto is citizen diplomacy, one handshake at a time, because our mission is really to bring international visitors to Chicago to meet people from around the world and really have face-to-face, people-to-people diplomacy happening right here in our city. We are located downtown at Michigan and Randolph, so you can stop by and visit us, or visit us online at worldchicago.org to learn a little bit more about us. But World Chicago has been around since 1952, and we have been working with the State Department for that whole time on programs ranging from just a couple of days to several weeks that our visitors are in Chicago. And our visitors are professionals in a range of industries, from government and law to education, the arts, and more so entrepreneurship, which is the focus of our show today. And we have today with us 3 participants in the U.S. Department of State's Professional Fellows Program from Croatia, Slovenia, and Bosnia-Herzegovina. So I am delighted to start with our first guest, Ante Vekic from Croatia. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me here, and thank you for enabling me to feel this wonderful experience that I'm having currently while I'm staying in Chicago, and I hope we'll have more time today to discuss about all the stuff I'm seeing here, and I'm really enjoying it.
So as part of the Professional Fellows Program, Ante and the other fellows in his cohort are in Chicago for a full month doing a fellowship with a local startup, NGO, incubator, any kind of business or company working in the entrepreneurship space. So Ante, do you want to tell us a little bit about your fellowship and where you're placed at?
Yeah. I'm placed with the Lime Red Studio. It's a small web design and graphic design company based in Ravenswood in Chicago. They are, I think, more than 10 years old, and for the past 4 years they've been operating out of Ravenswood. They're working mostly for non-profit sector, and they're developing websites for educational institutions, non-profit organizations, and all kinds of organizations that are not from commercial sector. So in the recent year they pivoted more to, and they're trying more to work on this UX design, rapid prototyping, and actually finding a way to help their clients better communicate with their target markets, with their target users, and to see how they can benefit their communication and improve it and make the organizations have greater impact in the community. The special thing about them is that they are a big corporation, so that's something that is similar to what I'm doing back home, because I work for a non-profit that also has a design agency, and we are oriented to providing design services for non-profit organizations. So basically Lime Red here is also something very similar to my organization back home, and I'm really enjoying it here and really learning and going through interesting experiences.
So what kind of projects are you working on them? And you mentioned there's some similarity with your company back home. So what do you think you can learn from Lime Red to take back home with you?
Well, there are lots of things I can learn here. We are very similar companies, but operating in a different environments. So my company and the place I'm working is located in a very small city. It's a city called Osijek, and it's located on the east of Croatia. It has 100,000 people living in it.
I've been there.
Yeah, so
it's very charming.
It is charming, but it's a very small city, and it's big, basically like one of Chicago's neighborhoods.
Yeah.
So it has its advantages, but also it has disadvantages. So, for example, here in Chicago, the company as Lime Red is, it can afford itself to be more niched, to work on a specific type of service which it provides to its customers, do it well, very well, and have enough clients so that they can be profitable. In my surrounding, that's not the case. I have much smaller market, so I have to be more diversified, and I cannot afford myself to be so niched, and those are like that's the main difference. But that's not just the difference between Chicago and my home place Osijek. That's the difference between small city and a big city. So basically, I'm exploring here how a company can be successful when it's small, very niche, very oriented on one specific type of service that is providing to its client, and it's doing it in a best way possible. So basically, that's what Lime Red is doing for their clients.
Great. And I know you've had a chance to interact with some of their clients and even do some work for them. Can you tell us a little bit about the similarities and difference in that client and service provider relationship?
Yeah, since I came here, I just started working on real life projects. You know, they found work for me right away. I sat at the computer and started working. So I was working on a logotype proposals for one organization here called Lifespan. They're into rebranding currently. So I've helped Lime Red to do their new logotype. So I communicated with their representatives, receiving feedback for my work and working together with them on their new visual identity. And also I've participated in meetings where they were conducting market research and trying to arrange a business with a young startup called Designer Share. So that's a very interesting project they're having. And also we are working on something we will try to implement here in Chicago. It's an accelerator type event for solving issues within the community, and I think it's a good model that we can also replicate in Croatia and help solve some of our issues we are facing there. So what are the differences? What are similarities? Basically, it's pretty much the same. Clients are very demanding. They want the job to be done very well. They want it to be on time. Basically, they are paying, for excellent service, and they deserve to have it. So we are trying to deliver the service which they expect, and I hope we are doing it very well.
Sounds like you're on the right path there.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your experience. And again, if you would like to learn a bit more about Ante's program and the other programs at World Chicago, you can visit us at worldchicago.org or come down, give us a call at 312-254-1800. And I'm delighted now to be joined by our second guest, Ada Lipovaca from Bosnia-Herzegovina. Welcome, Ada.
Hello.
How are you doing today?
I'm very well, as I am the all 2 weeks while I'm here in Chicago.
Yeah, so our fellows have been here just for 2 weeks, so they're halfway through their program, and I think have had a good taste of Chicago life and culture and from their fellowships. So Ada, do you want to tell us a little bit about your fellowship in Chicago and what you've been doing these past 2 weeks?
Yeah, first of all, I am coming from Bosnia-Herzegovina, actually from Bihać. It's a small city in west of Bosnia, right at the border with Croatia. I'm working back home in a development agency, and here I am placed in a non-profit organization, IC Stars. It's a non-profit that works for more than 20 years. It's basically searching for talents, mainly from lower income families. And they get the unique opportunity to go through a very intensive program. They get tech skills and skills in entrepreneurship. so that they get also connected to companies in Chicago. They do projects for them, and the best of the teams actually get paid for the project. And so IC Stars provides them with connection to get hired in those companies and to stay hired, which is very difficult these days. And one of the great things there is the sustainability of the organization. They have a great network with the companies, with the talents, with the alumnus from previous generations, and they have also an incubator, which actually is a possibility for those talents to have their own startup later. So they support them from the beginning to the end. And yes, I learned from them how they operate, how they are sustainable, how they collect funds, how they find all these fundings for the program. And my main task here is to see how this perfect model works and how I can implement it back home. So yeah, this is actually what I'm doing while I'm here.
That's great. And do you want to tell us a little bit about what it is exactly that you do back home and how this relates? You mentioned that you're already learning some things that you can take back. So
yeah, okay. Since I'm working for the development agency, our tasks are pretty broad. We try to, in first place, to attract as much as possible foreign investment in our area, actually in this region where I work. So we try to support startups with different ideas, and we find there are many problems which is related to the workforce. We have a very, very high unemployment rate in my region, and we have skilled labor force, but not skilled for this what the market actually demands, what the companies demand. So the basic idea is to actually help to close this gap as much as possible, to find talents, to enable them a pre-qualification program, and to support them in their way to find actually a startup idea, to encourage them to have their own startup and to connect them to companies. It's similar like IC Star does in a way. They find people who don't have these privileges to information, to network, to have a formal education. So we have such a problem in my country as well, and we want to be part of this solution. So actually I want to continue such a program at home, and a good idea which has actually arisen here while I'm here is that we want to make this project international. We want to make it like a project also for Slovenia and for Croatia as well. So yeah.
So it sounds like there are quite a lot of parallels between the Bosnia-Herzegovina experience and the US or Chicago experience when it comes to technology and innovation being a doorway to employment and success.
Well, it's in some way it's incomparable because Chicago has around 11 million of people, and we are a country of 3.6 million people.
So it's about the size of Chicago itself.
The city, yeah. But what actually we can compare is that we also face some problems, some social problems, which can actually they can be solved if we change the socioeconomic status through innovation, through tech, through actually encouraging and fostering businesses and fostering education, especially in tech, since this is a growing sector, and it is in Bosnia. It is a really important sector because we have an unemployment rate of 27%, which is huge.
27.
Yes, 27%, but still this sector of IT actually employs more than 15,000 of people, so it's a really significant sector, and we see it growing. We see a huge potential there, so we want to be part of this market. We are a small market. This is the main difference between us and you. We are a small market, and we cannot sell our products only in our market, so we have to think more internationally, and we do a lot of outsourcing, but I think we have the competences and actually we have the potential to be better. So this is what I want to see here, and to actually implement it back home.
So what do you think are the greatest barriers that prevent young people or anyone really in general from accessing that technology and that education that could lead to greater employment opportunities?
Yeah, one thing is the small market, and the another thing is actually that our curriculum is not very up to date with the current market demands and the market trends. So we actually have to start from this. We have to change these curriculums in a way with formal or informal education. We have 8 public universities in our country, and I think around 600-700 students who actually study IT, but we need more. We need it. We need different programs as informal education, like enable people who are actually on a way to change their career paths and to enable them to pre-qualify to have a vocational training or something similar in this industry.
And so now that you've been here for a couple of weeks and are seeing some of the models that we have here in Chicago, what do you think you could learn, or do you think things you're learning in this program can help overcome some of those challenges or chip away at them?
Oh yes, I think first it will change myself, my view on everything. It will actually change the perspective, and the best I really would like to bring back home is this Chicago vision. Is this the sharing on information, sharing on network? What I really want to bring back home to see, so that they actually see how important it is to share information, to share network, to be part of strong network, and that it can really be a trigger for much more.
Okay, well, thank you so much for sharing your experience so far, and good luck with your next 2 weeks, and we'll have to check in and see how things are going then.
Thank you for having me here.
Thank you. So once again, to learn more about World Chicago's work and keep up with the great work that Ada and her fellow cohorts are up to, you can visit us at worldchicago.org, where we post updates and blog posts about our visitors, and also from the fellowship host perspective, so you can see the impact that the programs have on the local Chicago companies and organizations. And now we're back, joined by our third guest, Ms. Savina Juvelek from Slovenia. Welcome. How are you today?
Perfect, thank you.
Excellent. So, we've been talking with, your 2 fellows from your cohort about their experiences. So I'd love to hear what you've been up to for your past 2 weeks and where you're working.
Of course. So these last 2 weeks were amazing. It really is a life-changing experience. So before I go to actually answering the questions, thank you so much for enabling us to come from the Balkan region into the land of opportunity, to learn more about entrepreneurship and tech innovation. So we're able to actually just learn from you guys and take the good models and bring them back to our country. So that's one.
It's our pleasure. And I think we find as World Chicago has been doing this program for about 2 years now, and we're finding it really is a two-way street. We're learning as much from you guys often as you learn from us. So it's been a great partnership.
Okay, that's great. So what I'm doing, my placement is in Network for Teaching Entrepreneurship. In short, I'll call it NIFTY. And what they do is actually they enable young people with, let's say, low income societies to get entrepreneurship background, mindset, everything that you're supposed to know as an entrepreneur. And I think that kind of mindset can actually really help you in your further development, either professional or personal. So I'm really excited to be in an organization. It's an NGO where people just feel what they're doing, and that's one of the things that's most important to me, because I'm doing similar thing in Slovenia.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about what you do in Slovenia?
Sure. So I work at an organization called Ypsilon Institute. It's a platform for young proactive people between the age of 20 and 30. And what we do, we empower them to become the best version of themselves. I'm there as a program manager, so I come up with different projects, activities, so we are able to facilitate that progress in the best possible way.
Yeah. Well,
I could talk more about it. Just stop me. Yeah.
I know. You think you could all have your own show if we let you. Well, one other feature of the Professional Fellows program is that our fellows stay with homestay hosts. So they're here for a full month, and back to our mission of citizen diplomacy and bringing Chicagoans together with professionals and entrepreneurs from all around the world. Rather than staying in a hotel for the month, our visitors stay in local communities all around the city. We have everything from Pilsen, back of the yards, downtown, South Loop, Ravenswood, really all over the city, north side, south side, west side, into the suburbs. And so Sabina, I'd like to ask you about your homestay experience and how's that going so far?
Thank you so much for not putting us into a hotel, because I think we would lose like an important part of the experience here. Just being in Chicago with the local person that actually knows Chicago, I think that's the most amazing part of the experience. Because if you would just be in a hotel, you would lose half of that. And here, my host name is Jody. Hi, Jody. She's great.
She's great.
She's so good. We also have a pug at home. He's called Wolfgang. So he's amazing as well.
Something you learn is how much Americans love our dogs.
You actually have a lot of dogs. I did not know that's the case with Americans, but apparently you do. So I walk sometimes Wolfgang, and I'm able to see the neighborhood. I took him for an extra long walk. That enabled me actually to see the architecture of the city. And just coming back to Jody and homestay experience, it's awesome because we get to go to dinners. Apparently, having a dinner and what you're gonna eat is really important in Chicago. So if it weren't for her, and I wouldn't know all those things. And she has all the restaurants figured out, so I know where exactly to go. And the whole aspect of just homestay experience, I think it's interesting for her as well, because she has Slovenian roots. So my present actually for her was every day I would teach her a Slovenian word.
Oh, that's great. So that's something she'll just always have versus chocolate or something. But
this I think. Great. Including the chocolate.
Including the chocolate.
Yeah, but to learn vacational Slovenian, this is how we call it. So when she comes to Slovenia, she knows those few words that will get you places, and you're covered in the aspect of foods, drinks, and just pleasure.
Enough to get by.
Yeah.
Have you ever stayed in a homestay before?
No.
First time?
First time, yeah.
Were you nervous? Excited?
I didn't know exactly what to expect, but I did my research. So one of the fellows that came here before me, she stayed with Jody as well.
Okay.
So I knew, I knew a lot about Jody before I got here. So that was good. But even if I didn't, I think still it would be an amazing experience. And it's part of the experience to be open and experience different things, adapt to new environment, and just accept it. Yeah.
Pardon me, I'm getting over a cold. So you've been here for 2 weeks in your fellowship, but also your homestay, and also in the city of Chicago. So what cultural experiences have you had so far that you think you'll always remember, or that stick out the most?
Well, it is my first time in the U.S., so I call these 2 weeks first of everything, because I've never seen U.S., I've never seen Chicago, I've never been in a city that's 5 times bigger than my whole country. Just so you know, Slovenia is in the center of Europe. It's not Slovakia, it's Slovenia, and we have 2 million people. So just that whole aspect of being in a huge city is interesting to me. And I have to say that the architecture here and the buildings, every building has its own character. It's so amazing. I love it. I really like Chicago. It's my favorite part, though, was the trip with the boat. So down the river and to the lake, and just looking back at the skyline, it was breathtaking. So you really have an amazing city, and
that's my favorite thing to do. I've lived in Chicago for a long time, but I'm happy to play tourist and hop on that boat, because you learn something new every time. I've been on it probably 10 times now, but you always learn something new about the buildings and the history.
I'm thinking about going again.
Going again?
Just so you know. The other really interesting thing was, and I don't think I'm gonna ever forget that, is the view in the night over the Hancock Tower. Wow.
It's incredible.
Yeah, I don't have any other words, but it's amazing.
Yeah, breathtaking, you would say.
Yeah, I could say that.
Yeah. All while having a cocktail. So also as part of the fellowship experience, we like our fellows to volunteer and learn about the culture of community service and giving back that's so prevalent in the U.S. and sometimes less so in other parts of the world, but it's such a key part of the American experience. So I understand you guys volunteered last week. You want to tell us about that experience?
Sure. So apparently volunteering is a big thing in US. It's
You needed to graduate high school even.
yeah, I heard that. We don't have that in Slovenia, just so you know. I was volunteering at registration. We were actually, if you had any more donations to give to the Walk Light Up night.
Yeah, so it was the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society's Light Up the Night Walk, fundraising walk.
That's what it was. So I also I helped with the organization, and all of the fellows actually we also did the walk because the cause is so important and it touches all of us in one way or another. So we did the walk and it was so amazing actually to see the whole community coming together for a cause and sharing that cause and just going through with one another, and the whole aspect of just walking in the night with like lanterns. It was amazing, and I really like that. That was part of our program to do the volunteering. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, and we're happy to have you give back to our community as well. Well, I'd like to say thank you to Sabina and Ada and Ante for joining us today on our show. And again, for more information about World Chicago, please visit worldchicago.org and you can hear about the next programs coming up.
Hi, here I am again.
You're back,
yeah,
and we're back.
I would just like to say hi to our other fellows who are not right now all around Chicago. I would like to say hi to our host, to my host Karen, hi, and to our president from WorldChicago, Peggy, and to all our fellows who are enjoying as much as we do. So just hi to all of you.
Hello to everyone. And there are 12 total fellows in their program from Bosnia-Herzegovina, Croatia and Slovenia. So shout out to all of them. And actually, so at this time, we are currently accepting applications for the next round for the Spring 2017 cohort. So now that you've heard a little bit about our program and our fellows and what they do here, if you happen to know of anyone in the region who might be interested in applying, the deadline for applications is November 15th. If you work with a company, whether an entrepreneurship startup, an NGO working in the tech entrepreneurship and innovation space, we would love to talk to you about hosting one of our incredible fellows, as you've heard from here today. So do be in touch. You can email me directly. My email address is on our website, and you can go directly to this site at worldchicago.org/worldchicago-tech-fellowship-program. So once again, I want to thank you all for joining me today, and thank all of our viewers out there for watching, and do keep in touch.